All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Bob Arum says absolutely trashes Terence Crawford, says that he could buy a mansion on all of the money that he has lost on Terence Crawford in the last 3 fights, and really sounds like he wants Terence Crawford up out of Top Rank. This is before the Kell Brook fight, but let's talk about what Bob Arum has to say and exactly why he's blaming Terence Crawford for it in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Terence Crawford cannot draw flies to a garbage can, in the words of, I think, who said that? That was a statement that was made by James Prince, actually, about Floyd Mayweather Jr. about his time at Top Rank. And I'm quite sure a sentiment that would be reflected or agreed to by Bob Arum. And now they're saying the same thing about Terence Crawford. There was an article that came out in The Athletic where Bob Arum, man, I can't tell you, he just absolutely trashed Terence Crawford. And he even said, was asked the question, like, where do you think you're going to go forward with Terence Crawford, right? Like, what do you think you can do for him? And like he said something to the effect of, no, you're asking the wrong question. The right question is, do we feel like doing anything with him? Because we've lost so much money on this dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. Right? And that is why, Terence Crawford can't get the big mega fights that he wants, because Terence Crawford just doesn't sell. That's what Bob Arum is saying. And let's go through that. But look, man, Bob Arum said the same thing about Floyd Mayweather Jr. And the short of it is this: that problem is not on Terence Crawford. That problem is on Bob Arum. Okay, it's not Terence Crawford's fight fault that Bob Arum cannot sell him. It's Bob Arum's fault that Bob Arum can't sell him, because Bob Arum has never tried to sell him. He's never, from the beginning of Terence Crawford's career, he never did the work necessary to build a guy to be a superstar. So I don't understand exactly how he ever expected that to be the case, considering how he coddled Vasily Lomachenko the entire time. The reason why Terence Crawford is not considered a really, really big star is not on Terence Crawford. It's not any of the cockamamie excuses that the media gives for the failure of Bob Arum. The problem is Bob Arum. The problem is Bob Arum alone. And let's talk about that. First and foremost, Terence Crawford is never going to be considered the best fighter in the world if you don't sell him that way. And specifically, if you sell him in a way where you're telling people that he's not. And that is what Bob Arum and ESPN and HBO have done to Terence Crawford his entire career. They've never said that he was the best, ever. So when people are out there looking for a champion, looking to say, yeah, this guy is the greatest fighter in the world, well, Bob, you've been telling people that he's not the greatest fighter in the world for years. You've never told people that you thought that he was the best thing that Top Rank had to offer. You've never even act like he was the third best thing that Top Rank had to offer. And you're surprised that Top Rank fans are not interested in something that you refuse to sell? That makes no sense to me. Absolutely makes no sense to me. Now, why that's the case makes complete sense to me. Because Bob Arum never really discovered Terence Crawford. Bob Arum was in love with Vasily Lomachenko the entire career, dang near, of Terence Crawford. Now, why do I say that? Terence Crawford was never originally signed to Top Rank. He was signed to somebody else. When he came out of the amateurs, he didn't make the Olympic team. Vasily Lomachenko made the Olympic team from the Ukraine. So you have a 2-time Olympic champion who turns pro at 25, right? Which is around what time? Around the same time that Terence Crawford gets his breakthrough fight, right? Terence Crawford fights all these fights under another promotional company, comes over to Top Rank. He gets lucky and gets a fight against Breidis Prescott where he moves up in weight, beats Breidis Prescott, and then puts himself into the running as being one of the best lightweights. He actually moved up to 140, came back down to 135, and then fought after he beat Breedis Prescott at 140. He moves down to 135. He might fight a couple other people, but then he gets the belt from Ricky Burns. And then from there, he becomes the champion, one of Top Rank's champions, right? Who does he fight? He fights Ray Beltran immediately after that. The same Ray Beltran that people believed had beaten Ricky Burns in the previous fight, right? Now it's Now it's Ray Beltran. You know the Ray Beltran, the Mr. Top Ranks, the guy that Top Rank loves to give championship shots to, even though he loses. Now, I think Ray Beltran might be like 1-5 in championship fights, but he keeps getting them underneath Top Rank, right? Put him in there with Bud. Bud beats him. Then Bud moves to 140, but then here comes the love of Bob Arum's life. Right when Terence Crawford's career takes off, here comes the incredible Vasily Lomachenko, who they will then, over the next series of years, invest all of their energy in trying to sell to the American public. Making up stories. Lomachenko got all kind of guys quitting. Like, they weren't quitting at 130. They would fight all the way out at 130. Nobody quitting at 126. Nobody quitting at 135. But they all of a sudden, Lomachenko, everybody's just quitting. Ain't even hurt, just confused and refusing to fight on. Man, whatever, dude. They start building Vasily Lomachenko up. And then got to the point where when Bud Crawford is absolutely at the height of his career, where he does something that nobody else has done in a decade, unify all 4 major belts, right? And I do believe he also had to come out of his own pocket to pay for the fee, right? You think he had to pay an extra $100,000 out of his own pocket to get undisputed? That tells you how much Bob Arum could care less about him being undisputed. The way that I saw it covered was this: they completely disregarded the Boxing Writers Association of America completely disregarded Terence Crawford's undisputed win, right? Even though now they're trying to celebrate it for Teofimo Lopez when Teofimo Lopez didn't even really do it, right? Alexander Usyk, still way up in the top pound for pound because he unified the belts. But when it was Terence Crawford that unified the belts, what did the Boxing Writers Association of America do with Terence Crawford? They told him they didn't like the level of his competition. And that's why they voted to have Vasily Lomachenko be Fighter of the Year in 2017. Despite, now, the reason they didn't give it to Terence Crawford is because they didn't like his level of competition that got him all 4 major championship belts. But they liked Lomachenko's. Even though Lomachenko fought a guy that was moving up from 122 to 130 in Vasily and Guillermo Rigondeaux, that's 2 weight class jumps. And that's one guy. The other guy was Miguel Mariaga, who moved up 1 weight class from 126 to 130, but had just come off of a loss fighting for the 126-pound belt. So he moves up off of a loss at 126 to lose to Vasily Lomachenko. Then Vasily Lomachenko beats one more guy, Jason Sosa, and he's Fighter of the Year over a guy that won all 4 belts. And what did Bob Arum think about that? Bob Arum loved it. And Bob Arum wanted it that way. That's why Bob Arum put the fight between Vasily Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigondeaux like on December 5th, December 12th, whatever it was the same week. It was the same weekend as the Boxing Writers Association of America convention in New York. And he said it. He was like, I want Vasily to fight this weekend so everybody can see how great he is. Well, what about Terence? What about Terence, Bob? What is it about Terence that makes it so hard for him to sell but so easy to not sell Lomachenko? Because, by the way, he didn't – all that garbage he did with Vasily Lomachenko, Vasily Lomachenko's numbers ain't never been better than Terence Crawford's. Maybe in this last Teofimo Lopez he'll do 2, and Terence Crawford might do less than that because of the tape delays, because of the length of that football game and the fact that it had to skip around 4 channels, right? Terrible night to put on that fight too. But don't worry. Vasily Lomachenko will always be remembered fondly, and Terence Crawford will go down as somebody that couldn't sell tickets because he wasn't nice enough, because he won't sit down and he won't be nice enough to the press. That's all you need to do is be nice to the press. Really? Then why is Gervonta Davis selling well? Gervonta Davis ain't running around being Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky with every guy in the press coming around. Neither is Deontay Wilder. Neither is Errol Spence Jr. They're not acting that much different than Bud Crawford is. Give me a break. The difference is this, that Bob Arum doesn't know how to sell Terence Crawford. The people that he wants to buy fights, he doesn't know how to sell Terence Crawford to them. And that is the story. It is nothing about Terence Crawford. It's all about Bob Arum's willingness or lack thereof to sell Terence Crawford, which is exactly why Terence Crawford needs to leave Top Rank and go over there to the PBC or become a free agent or do something else. And even Bob Arum tries this garbage on him like, well, go ahead. Maybe we should let him out there. Maybe we should go let him be a free agent, and so he can find that nobody's going to pay him the money that we're going to pay him. Man, get out of here. Get out of here. Let him be a free agent and go over there to the PBC and fight Keith Thurman and tell me he's not going to make $4 million fighting Keith Thurman. Or he's not going to make $4 million fighting Adrian Bronner or fighting Errol Spence or fighting Manny Pacquiao or fighting many of those guys over there. You know why? Because the PBC and Fox will actually promote Terence Crawford in football games and the like, and those numbers will do just fine because he's an excellent fighter, and they don't mind selling that excellent fighter to fight fans, while Top Rank and ESPN and HBO did not have the inclination to do so. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know yours. And with that, I'm out. Peace.